Welcome to this video where I wanna be talking about the centrifugal fan design in Impeller in FreeCAD. So we will be using this draft for creation of the model. It represented by meridional section in left hand side and the 2D plan of blade shape in right hand side. So let's open the FreeCAD and let's start with Sketcher Workbench in FreeCAD. You can activate the Sketcher Workbench in this menu bar, and let's in Sketcher Workbench let's create the plane with 2D description of the blade. Let's use the XY plane. It doesn't matter which plane we will be using, and here we have the different tools for creation the 2D sketch, and let's change the mode for creation, the lines which will help us to create the shape of blade. It's the blue lines. The white lines, it's real lines which we'll be using for creation 3D model, for example. Blue lines, it's just for helping. Okay, let's send the dimensions for our hub and shroud for the internal diameter and external diameter of blade shape. So after that, let's choose these lines and let's connect the lines with the circle here for internal and external diameter. This line will define us for us blade angle of blade shape. Okay, let's set some conditions for this line and point, and choose this. It will connect the blade angles with y-axis. We can to see how we can change the shape of these lines. Let's define angle of blade for internal diameter, and for convenience let's set 20 millimeters length of lines, and let's repeat the previous steps. For this, it will be the tangent condition, the first condition. Between line and circle, you can choose the line and circle, press Ctrl and click mouse by line, and for circle let's delete this horizontal condition. Delete button, press in keyboard, and let's set definition angle blade for external diameter. Now we can see that we can change the position line. Let's set lenses for these construction lines, and let's try to change the point position. So now we have to connect this internal with external diameter. Let's change the mode working of Sketcher menu bar to real lines, and let's choose this circle part. Let's set some random position for our blade shape, and let's choose the circle part and line and send the tangent condition. Let's repeat the tangent condition for this, and now we have the fully connected sketch. It means we cannot change position of any points on our sketch without changing the dimensions. So now we can change the angles, for example the external on the external diameter, and on internal diameter. It's something like parametrical sketch here. If we will close the sketch, how can you see we have only shape of blade, it one line in sketch. Blue lines, it's hidden is hidden, and let's go to the part workbench, and now let's try to make some extrusion. It will create the 3D from our 2D sketch. Let's set the length of our blade. It's 0 thickness shape of blade, and now we have to choose our 3D 0 thickness blade and make the offset. It will make the thickness. So let's activate the full offset. It will create the solid body from, and let's set the thickness. Okay, it will be the thickness constant for blade shape. And now we have created the blade shape, and let's go to the draft workbench, where we can define the array, circular array, for clone by axis this shape of blade. Let's click the reset point, that will be the position of axis, and set the number of blades. How can you see? We have 11 blades of centrifugal fan. Let's go to Sketcher and let's create one else sketch. Let's click in some position by mouse and let's try create the sketch again. Okay, now we have the meridional sketcher for meridional position, and let's create the shroud for our impeller. Let's make the first sketcher with shroud, and we just have to set the dimensions for this. It will be external diameter 100 millimeters, and also let's set these dimensions for all points. Okay, we will set this 30.5 because the 5 it will be the length of blade, because we wanna to make the blade shape some bigger, then we will create the real shroud. If we will make the 25 for example 0.0 and the shroud also 25.0, it will create the 0 thickness. We cannot to make the boolean operation for connecting the shroud and blades. So let's set 40.5 here also, and let's define the circle here, and we have to choose a point and line. Let's set 40.5 and let's set radius for this field. Okay, set 15 for example. We can to change the position of this point, so let's define this distance. You can define the construction here. It will be the vertical condition. For these 2 points, let's choose it again and let's set the vertical condition, and let's set the sum dimension. It will be 15, for example 6. let's set some random value, and let's make correction for some dimensions here. And let's we can to change this line. Okay, it's enough because we have these lines. It can be any length here. So let's make this closed sketch, and let's make the revolve operation in part workbench. So now we will to split our let's make the boolean operation with this revolve and blades, and let's make the cut boolean operation. Let's choose the blades and revolve, make the cut, and how can you see, we will define the meridional shape of blades for Shroud. Okay, and now we have to make, looks good. Now we have to make the real Shroud. So for this, let's copy the sketch, it will be Ctrl C, and paste it, Ctrl V, and let's go to the sketcher, this copy of sketcher, of course, make the edit of sketch, and now we have to set the real Shroud value. It will be 25. How can you see, we have the blade shape some bigger than the real Shroud. It will make the true for union operation, for merging the Shroud and blades without zero thickness condition. How can you see, we have to set for the Shroud form shape some smaller than length of blade without gaps. So let's delete these two lines, and let's to make the closed sketch for Shroud. Let's set this and connect these points between. How can you see, we have the horizontal condition here. Let's set some thickness for Shroud. Also, let's set some position here for this point, and let's make the radius circle here for this angle. Okay, let's set the radius value, and also thickness for this part of shape. So now we have the Shroud. Let's close sketch, let's close it, and let's make the revolve operation again in part workbench for the sketch. Let's click OK, and you can see that we have created the Shroud for our blade, and we can to merge them. Let's choose the blade and Shroud and make boolean union and apply. Okay, how can you see, we merged the two different solids to one 3D model. Let's click apply. Was created one copy. Let's delete it, and let's activate the refine true. It will delete some edges for models. It more high quality 3D model. Okay, how can you see, we have the Shroud and blades here. 3D model, and the next step will be creation hub shape. Let's click in some position and let's create in YZ plane one sketch of the hub for 3D. Let's create some random box and let's define the dimension for this box. It will be 100 external diameter. Let's make some thickness. It will be 0.5 for example. Okay, because we have to make the hub some small without gap between blade and hub 3D model. Okay, and let's define hub dimension. Let's close, and for the sketch let's make the revolve operation like in previous steps. Let's click OK, and let's make, we have the two different solids body, and let's make the boolean operation for merge them, and we have one solid body here. Activate the refine true, of course. And how you remember in 3D model we have this some shape of leading edge in meridional section cut, some form of leading edge of our blades. So let's to repeat these steps from draft, and let's for this part leading edge we have to Ctrl+C Ctrl+V copy of the sketch of our shroud, and if we will go to the sketch you can see the sketch of solid of shroud. Okay, let's make the same transparency for 3D model. It will be more convenient to working with sketcher here. Okay, let's make the modification. This shroud sketcher, it's a copy of shroud sketcher. Let's make this some lines. Okay, and let's make the trim operation and delete some lines from the sketcher. We don't want to use it in cut operation. Okay, let's delete it. And now for this box let's make revolve operation again. It will create the 3D model for this sketch. Okay, and the next step will be, let's set the transparency 0, and next step will be the cut operation between our solid and solid of meridional section modification. Let's refine true, activate this function, and now you can see the finished model of centrifugal fan impeller like in like in our draft. So thank you. Of course you can to export of our model. Let's choose in the 3D model, click the export, and you can export in AJS format and click save. So it's finished. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel. Goodbye.